What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com. Under Armour has a brand new shoe, and thank goodness it does not have a zipper. Anyways, this is the new Under Armour Magnetico Pro, which is more or less the unofficial Under Armour Clutchfit 4. The Clutchfit line from Under Armour, I think, has been a huge success ever since it first launched, this being basically the 4th generation of that line, and arguably the best one that they've ever made. I ranked the Under Armour Clutchfit 3.0 in my top 5 boots of 2017, and honestly, this does improve upon that previous model in a lot of different ways that I'm going to be talking about in today's video. So if you want to learn more about what these things are all about, including how they fit and feel on feet, please stick around, watch the entire video. And if you're interested in a pair for yourself, you can click the little pop-up in the corner of the screen or the first link down below in the description. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $220 retail price. Included with the cleats is a box, and inside that box you also get some paper which you can recycle. Now, as for tech specs, it's called the Magnetico, which is a weird name because it doesn't really mean anything. It has magnet in the name, which you would think maybe they're magnetic. That's not actually the case because it doesn't have a metal zipper running down the middle. From a technical standpoint, this is an extremely impressive shoe, and if you're a fan of tight-fitting shoes with a barefoot feel, you should be really excited about the Magnetico Pro. Now, just like the models that it replaces, it still features their signature Clutchfit technology, which is a really good thing. What Clutchfit is all about is allowing the upper to basically form around your foot instantaneously versus what would usually be the opposite of a typical break-in process for a soccer cleat, where you're kind of forcing the shoe into a specific shape based on the shape of your foot. This adjusts pretty much instantly, and the way it does that is by way of their 3-layer Clutchfit technology. So it's a 3-layer synthetic material. You're gonna have an internal liner, which is pretty straightforward on this shoe. It's nothing too crazy, basically like a synthetic suede type material. Then you're gonna find their Clutchfit webbing, which you can see is a different pattern than what we've seen on previous generations of this shoe. That's something that has changed from generation to generation. This one being a lot more consistent, and you can see the webbing is more prominent in terms of texturing that you can see on the outside surface of the upper, more so towards the heel and midfoot area, and then it kind of fades out going into the forefoot and toe box area. The Clutchfit material as a reinforcement is still there, just for whatever reason, based on how they finish the upper, it just looks more smooth in this area of the shoe. And then the surface material is their new Form True synthetic material, which is basically a synthetic that mimics the feel and general texturing of extremely thin leather while still maintaining the benefits of a synthetic, and that it's not going to absorb much water. It's going to be obviously very, very lightweight, and also it's not going to require any kind of maintenance. And let me tell you that this is one of the softest thin synthetic uppers that I think I've ever felt on any shoe, period. This is easily softer and easily thinner than what we currently have on the Nike Mercurial Vapor 11, which up until this point I really do think has been the best option if you're looking for something that has a tight fit and a barefoot feel. Granted, this does not fit as tightly as the Mercurial Vapor 11, but it is as thin, if not a little bit thinner, and I would argue definitely a lot more comfortable as well, although comfort is very much a subjective thing rather than something that we can say is going to be the case for everybody. Some people might prefer the feel of the Mercurial, some people might prefer the feel of this particular shoe, but the fact that I'm putting it on the same level as a Nike Mercurial Vapor, period, I think says a lot. If anything, I think the thinness and general flexibility of this upper reminds me a lot of the Nike Mercurial Vapor 8 once it was really well broken in, but even that wasn't as soft as this particular shoe. So the upper is extremely impressive, to say the least. The design for the rest of the upper has been kept pretty straightforward and fairly traditional for the most part. You can see it has a central lacing system using a regular lacing setup, just straight up and down. Nothing fancy about it at all. I've removed the laces here on the other pair so we can get a closer look at the tongue. It's a regular tongue construction, which is definitely not bad either. And it's made from that same Form True synthetic material, which is extremely soft. You can see it really does have the appearance of leather, and to a certain extent, it feels like leather in terms of how soft it is. It doesn't necessarily have the, I guess, plushness or just slight amount of padding that a leather material would have, but it definitely has the softness, which is really, really important. And then you're gonna notice on the back side, it has a nice synthetic suede lining, and there is a slight bit of memory foam running through the middle as well, just to help to cut down on lace bite. Also some minor perforations, something that you'll find pretty typical with a lot of shoes that have a tongue construction like this. As far as the cut is concerned, it's kind of a bold choice by Under Armour with going with something that is honestly just very simple and straightforward. I have no issues with this whatsoever. I find this design really comfortable. I like the way that it looks, but obviously mid-cut shoes are something that is definitely very popular at the moment. So I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't go for something perhaps a little bit more outrageous in terms of the cut at the heel, but I have no issues with what they've done here at all. You have an internal plastic heel counter that's nice and solid. The heel lining is a regular synthetic leather material with not a ton of padding, but just enough to where your heel does feel nice and locked in, very secure without being uncomfortable in any way at all. And as far as the insole is concerned, it's exactly the same as what we got from the previous generation Clutchfit Force 3.0. It's their charged foam synthetic, basically for the entire insole. There is no liner. It just has a little bit of embossed texturing, which doesn't feel slippery. It doesn't really absorb any water, which means that it's basically dry instantaneously because it's not absorbing anything. And as far as the insole is concerned, it's relatively thin foam. It's kind of a little bit different than the typical insole foam you'd find on most shoes. I would say it's above average, but honestly nothing that feels particularly special when you're actually wearing them. It gets the job done, feels nice and comfortable, doesn't slide around, and that's pretty much all you can ask for. As far as the sole plate and stud pattern is concerned, it is a direct carryover from the previous generation Clutchfit. No difference whatsoever. It's a relatively lightweight construction with this plastic material. It has really good flexibility in the forefoot, which I think works extremely well with the very soft and flexible upper that they've incorporated on this particular shoe. And as far as the stud pattern is concerned, it's a pretty standard layout in terms of featuring pretty much all conical studs. You have these smaller bladed studs towards the toe, which I honestly think are too small to really affect anything. One support stud there in the middle that's technically bladed, but everything else is rounded studs. They're a little bit longer than average, and really they feel more aggressive than I think most people would expect. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the previous generation Hypervenom stud pattern, which was not bad at all. And honestly, I really like what this has on offer. On firm natural grass, while not as aggressive as something like a Mercurial Vapor, because I definitely compared these to that shoe in this video, I think it's a stud pattern that definitely does work well and is effective enough to where you're most likely not going to have any issues with it. It depends on what you like, of course, but honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. Now, obviously, I've drawn a lot of comparisons with the Mercurial Vapor 11, but one signature aspect of that shoe that so many people love is the fact that it's extremely lightweight. In a size 9 US, the Vapor 11 weighs in at around 6 ounces, even slightly under, depending on the colorway and the pair that you have. However, the Magnetico Pro is not quite as light. In a size 9.5 US, this shoe weighs in at 7.3 ounces, which is by no means heavy. These are not going to feel heavy on your feet. Let me repeat that. However, in comparison to a Vapor 11, these are over an ounce more, which is not a significant amount of weight, but it is significant when you're going from 6 to 7 ounces. That's a weight difference that you definitely will feel both in hand as well as on feet. So if you're looking for the lightest possible feel, the Vapor 11 is still the king of that. But if you want something that's light and thin and arguably more comfortable than a Mercurial Vapor 11, this is as light as most other high-end shoes on the market right now. And I don't think most people are going to have any issues with the weight at all. Aesthetically, I know not everybody's a huge fan of how Under Armour shoes look, and honestly, this looks a lot like the previous generation Clutchfits with the Under Armour branding here closer towards the heel, and then it does have the Magnetico name and what I think is a pretty cool font running down the back. The colorway, this being the only colorway available at the moment in men's sizing, it's blue with this kind of fade to teal. I honestly am not super crazy about the look. And then obviously you have the neon yellow accents with the logos and the liner, blue across the top as well. And then the sole plate has this kind of purple and teal color changing effect, but it does come with a warning sticker letting you know that this is a wearable finish on the sole plate as well. So something to keep in mind. Not sure how quickly it's going to wear, and I'm not sure what color is underneath, but it is something worth noting if you plan on picking these up. Overall, I don't think it's an ugly shoe by any means, but I'd be really curious to hear what your opinions are on the way that they look down below in the comments. So as you can see, I swapped out the stock blue laces for some turquoise reflective SR4U replacement laces, which match and accent perfectly with the teal that it eventually fades to towards the toe on the shoe. So if you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description of this video. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. On feet, these are extremely impressive. I guess the best way to describe them, especially when you're putting them on for the first time, which is absolutely shocking, is that it feels like you're putting on your 3-month-old well-worn Copa Mundials or some well-worn high-quality leather shoe. The upper is that soft, that flexible, and that form-fitting to your foot. Just like previous Clutchfit models, when you tie the laces tight, the upper kind of stretches around your foot. It's got this elasticated quality to it without feeling flimsy. Now, admittedly, these don't stretch as much as the previous generation Clutchfit did, but that's because they've tweaked the shape in such a way to where there's a lot less extra space on the inside of the shoe. It fits really, really nice. Now, again, I compared these to the Vapor 11 a lot. It doesn't have that super tight kind of squeeze your foot sensation as the Vapor, and that's partially due to the fact that the width is much wider on this particular shoe, and it has a more standard construction versus the one-piece upper that you find on the Vapor. So if you want the tightest possible fit, I think the Vapor is probably still the way to go. But if you're looking for that tight one-to-one kind of sock-like fit, but at the same time from an upper that is extremely soft and flexible, this does that better than just about anything out there right now. It really is phenomenal and extremely thin. You guys can see all of my toes through the upper. It's a true barefoot feel. Obviously no protection, but that's something that you kind of accept when you go for something with an upper as thin as these are. As far as width is concerned, it's got a snug fit to it, but again, it doesn't feel like it's squeezing your foot. And I would say for the most part, these are gonna fit most people in terms of overall width. If you have super wide feet, maybe you might have some problems with them, but I think most people are not gonna have any issues with these at all as far as width is concerned. And when it comes to sizing, just like the previous generation of Clutchfits, they run about a half size small. So instead of wearing my usual size 9 US, I bumped it up to a 9.5, and the fit and the length, as you can see, is pretty much perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair, I would recommend going a half size up for the best possible fit. In conclusion, I think the Under Armour Magnetico Pro is an excellent shoe. It is easily as good as anything out there right now when you're talking about top-end products, and it's unfortunate that Under Armour, being a brand that is still fairly new to the soccer world and being a brand that doesn't have the best reputation, because they do have some pretty questionable boot releases like the Under Armour Spotlight 2.0 that has a zipper. However, the Magnetico Pro is excellent, just like the models that came before it. I think the Clutchfit technology implemented on a soccer shoe is the best that it's ever been. And if you're into something that is super thin, relatively lightweight, but at the same time extremely comfortable and very form-fitting overall, you absolutely cannot go wrong with this shoe. And if you want to try something different, I can very strongly recommend these. Anyways, guys, that is it for my review. Again, if you're interested in a pair for yourself, you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $220 retail price. If you have any questions for me, as always, leave those down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching.